now, so we're going to start recording this. So we'll make sure that if you are unavailable to catch all of it, we'll make sure we put it up on our YouTube channel and send it out to everybody. So we're going to start with Nicole here in a second, and then Mary Jane. We'll introduce Jim, and then Chris and myself, and then I know the Fires may be running a little bit behind, so hopefully we'll catch them here in a little bit. So without further ado, I'm going to throw it over to Nicole, and welcome to the Red Stars. Looking forward to a new season.
Yeah, first of all, thanks, Adam, for the opportunity to hop on and chat with you guys today. It's exciting to be here and talking soccer, talking spring soccer, and have a season to chat about. And I've been seeing in my email tournaments popping up here and there too, so it feels like we're kind of getting back into the swing of things, and it's exciting for sure. So appreciate the opportunity to be here. Throughout the off season, we've had quite a few changes and some exciting changes and additions to our team. So I wanted to cover that with you guys quickly here, and then chat a little bit about our preseason tournament, which you can see that schedule right in front of you. That's going to be the Challenge Cup. And then beyond that, just chat a little bit about our regular season as well. So to kick it off with some of the new additions to our club, we've had additions both on the field and in our ownership group. So I'm not sure if you guys have been able to check out the new group, but within the last couple of weeks or so, we added 16 new owners to the Red Stars ownership group that we're all very excited about. They kind of represent all different parts of the city, the suburbs, the Chicago area. And so I won't bore you with ownership talk, but I think some of the exciting things to come from that is that we've got former NFL players, former Bear player, ESPN host Sarah Spain, U.S. hockey player, Chance the Rapper's manager. So a nice variety of folks also from the tech world too. So we've got a lot of folks who are behind the Red Stars and kind of pushing us forward here. And we're excited to have them on board. And you can check them all out on our website. We've got a profile for them if you're curious. But it's something that's really exciting. And we've got more announcements to come on that as well. So as it kind of transfers over to the changes on the field, we've had some additions to our squad over the off season as well. So we've actually added Mallory Pugh, U.S. Women's National Team Mallory Pugh, to our squad. And so we're excited to have her on board, and that brings our U.S. Women's National Team player total up to 5. So we've got 5 U.S. allocated players, and then we also have a Canadian national team player. And then beyond that, we have plenty of local players that are mixed in there as well. So really a great opportunity for your players to tune in, watch them on TV, see folks that maybe they're going to the same high school that these players went to, or played for the same clubs, or maybe they just see them playing for the U.S. Women's National Team or in the World Cup or something like that. A nice variety of players for your boys and girls players to tune in, watch, talk about, learn from. And we're excited to get started with the new squad, and hopefully this year is the year for us to bring it home. So that kind of leads me into the Challenge Cup. So like I said, you'll see that schedule right in front of you. The Challenge Cup is going to be a preseason tournament for us this year. So if you guys tuned in last summer, we didn't have a regular season, but what we were able to do was pull off a safe tournament with no fans. And that was the Challenge Cup, and everybody loved tournament style. I think some folks loved it so much that we decided we were going to implement that into our regular season this year. So we're going to kick off the year with the Challenge Cup. It'll be about 1 month long, and that'll kick off April 9th. So you'll see our first game will be against Houston, and that's going to be a rematch of the Challenge Cup final. And you'll be able to watch that one on CBS Sports Network. So we encourage you to share that with your club families, your club coaches, players, and hopefully we can have some folks tuning in, talking about it, and having the players excited about the season. And then we'll have the rest of our games on Paramount Plus, and then the championship will be on CBS in early May. So a nice little lead into the regular season, and then we'll kick off the regular season starting mid-May. And then our season will continue on through November with the championship in November. So a little bit of a longer year than maybe what we're used to, but that means more soccer for us. So we're happy with that. And with the regular season, we're planning for a safe return to SeatGeek. So at the moment, we're of course listening to the government, listening to CDC guidelines, and making sure that our safety protocols are in place. Everybody's comfortable at the stadium, they're distanced. We have additional protocols to make sure that that is the case. So For us, that means opening the entire lower bowl of the stadium, maybe having your club take over a whole section of the stadium as we kind of move forward here. So it could be something where you're like, hey, we'd love to go ahead with this game in June, and we want to make sure that our club has section 122 because that's where we normally sit, and we can reserve that whole section for you and make sure it's a nice fun event for everybody where families are feeling comfortable. They're sitting with the group, enjoying the game with the group, but they're also, safe while they're doing it. So it's actually, as I'm sure you guys are very thankful that soccer is primarily an outdoor sport. We are as well. So we're actually one of the safer ways for everybody to get together this summer, have a good time, but still be safe about it. So that's our plan for the season, and we have a whole list of protocols you can check out on our website if you're curious about it. But I think one of the big topics of conversation is our schedule, and we don't have it just yet. I wish I was sharing our regular season schedule with you guys today, but we're hoping to have it within the next couple of weeks or so. And I would say probably the biggest benefit to us not having a schedule yet is that we don't have any single game tickets on sale. So what we can do at this point, if you're like, hey, Nicole, we'd love to do something in August. We know we want to do something in August. And we love section 123. We've come out and sat there before, or if you haven't been out to a game before, we can certainly share best available seating, and we can get things reserved for you guys as soon as that schedule comes out. And you won't have to worry about any single game tickets or anything like that in your section. So we'd love to have those conversations. And I think even beyond that, if there's something where you guys are like, we're hosting a tournament, we'd love to have a Red Stars event there, or we've got, a fundraising event coming up and we'd love to have a 4-pack of Red Stars tickets at the event to give away and help us fundraise. We're happy to have all those conversations and, see what might be a benefit to you guys and see how we can, be a part of what you guys are doing this upcoming year. And we're excited about that opportunity, whereas maybe we weren't able to do as much last year. So on the slide here, you'll see my contact information, and you can certainly reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions, have any conversations if there's any additional opportunities that maybe I didn't mention today that you're thinking about. Maybe it'd be great for us to have some Red Stars coaching staff talk with our coaching staff, or have some players talk with our players. There are opportunities to do that, and we'd love to have the conversation about that as well. So feel free to reach out anytime, phone, email, whatever works best for you guys. But I won't take up too much more of your meeting today. You can always send a message in the chat if you'd like. Otherwise, you can certainly reach out outside of this too. But thanks again for the opportunity, and best of luck to all of you guys this spring.
Great. Thank you, Nicole. Just one real quick question from me. Would you be kind of a good contact in terms of making sure if they do want a group, should they contact you directly at this email address? Is that the best way to get hold of you?
Yeah, that is perfect. Email or phone. I'm available on either one. So feel free to reach out anytime and let me know. And if there's anything else, maybe beyond that, that you'd like to chat about within the organization, if I'm not the right person, I'll certainly be able to get you to the right person. So sure. Yeah, that is perfect.
And then the only other thing, and I'm sure a lot of people are interested, so obviously the new ownership group and everything else there, how's that going to be moving forward with everything, with all of the new ownership? How involved will they be? Looks like Nicole may have frozen. Maybe she was...
a pretty great... Oh, did I freeze?
Yeah, there you go.
Am I back? The internet sometimes.
I know.
Okay, perfect. With our ownership group, they're as involved as they'd like to be. So we've got some folks who are actually on some of our meetings, some of our like theme game meetings. I know we've had like manager Colleen. She has had a lot of experience in that world, so she's happy possible and their level of involvement, but we've seen across the board everybody wants to be involved and contribute as much as possible.
Great. Appreciate it.
And hopefully I didn't freeze too much on that.
I think we lost you a little bit there, but
no
that's
problem.
all right. That's okay. The beauty of the internet. So we appreciate it. If you don't mind sticking around, I'm sure there might be a couple of questions that may pop in and may come back to you here in a little bit. So again, thanks again, and good luck for the season. Appreciate it. All right. Okay. I know Eddie's joined us, so Appreciate you joining us here, Eddie. So I've got a slide here. Hopefully this kind of is still correct in terms of the home opener. So I know that's going to be a big one. So we'll want to present Eddie Rock from Chicago Fire, Senior Director of Football Operations. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with the Fire in preparation for this first game, April 17th.
Yeah, Adam, thank you very much to giving us an invitation to kind of catch the group up on the club, our plans for the season, and more importantly, what we hope is a great year ahead, welcoming fans back to Soldier Field. This is my 4th season with the club, and it, over the last 18 months, it feels like an entirely new club. Most of you are probably aware we did a big change in our technical staff last year. We added a new sporting director in Georg Heitz, who had won 8 titles in Basel in Switzerland and had Champions League success in his 8 seasons there. We brought in a new technical director, Sebastian Pelzer, from Germany, and also a new head coach and a coaching staff led by Rafa Wicki, who had been previously the U.S. U17 national team head coach. And of course, on that staff is the first assistant coach, which is our own Frank Klobas. So, but really everything starts with, this whole story starts with the change in ownership when Joe Mansueto became the majority owner about 18 months ago. We had a huge winter, 19 going on to 20, with the move from Bridgeview to Soldier Field. And then obviously, like most of the world, everything stopped at this time last March. That said, we still made the commitment to stay at Soldier Field. So all of the matches that we played behind closed doors last year, we still played at Soldier Field. In turn, we also have plans for a new training facility that will host the first team, the academy, and also all of our front office staff. And we hope to have some good news about that in the coming months. The technical staff for the club has doubled in the past 18 months. We've created a performance department, which handles nutrition, performance testing for the players. It handles strength and conditioning, and marries all of the different technologies that we use to track the players, to monitor for injuries, and to truly improve the physical condition of our players. We've created an analytics department at the beginning of this year. It's led by Kevin Minkus, who has worked for our club for a couple of years as a consultant, but also is fairly prolific online as one of the founders of American Soccer Analytics. We're very excited to bring him in-house full-time and to expand what we've been doing. And then we also, even in the pandemic last year, we created an international scouting network. So we hired 5 scouts internationally. And then in addition, we added Andy Heron, a former Fire player, to cover Costa Rica, or who's from Costa Rica, and he's covering the CONCACAF area and the Caribbean, outside of Mexico, US, and Canada. Our academy now has an assistant coach for each of the teams, which is something drastically new. It's essentially a full-time position for these coaches and is greatly increased the amount of time that we can devote to each individual player's development. We've also, along with our performance team, added a performance director for the academy. And we've increased our player care overall. And that's through our PASS program led by Brian Roberts, and the general safeguarding that we're trying to, that we are providing to our minors. We've really increased the amount of time and resources spent on making sure that our players are safe and that we're going through the right processes to ensure that we don't have issues. Likely this year, we will be also introducing a U23 team to our kind of football pyramid. This is in conjunction with Major League Soccer, this will formally begin as a league from Major League Soccer in 2022, but ourselves, Columbus, Cincinnati, Sporting Kansas City will be starting play on a non-official basis later this summer going into the fall. As far as new players go, looking at our, where we were as a squad last year, we had turned over the squad significantly. We brought in a core group of players that we were very happy with, but we also needed more competition. So that was one of the primary things. Second, we wanted to bring more speed, more power. And that tends to be younger players. So in the past 6 months, we brought in 5 players. We brought in a center back, Carlos Duran from Colombia, who's with the U20 national team there. Brought in a center forward, Chinoso Afor, who is Nigerian, but we actually found him and signed him from a club in Latvia. We've signed John Espinoza from Ecuador, who was the captain of their U20 national team when they came in 3rd in the latest FIFA U20 World Cup. Stanislav Ivanov, who's a Bulgarian under-21 national team player. And what I think is kind of one of the most exciting is we recently acquired John Harter Duran, who's U20 national team with Colombia, but has just turned 17 years old. So he's a player that we've acquired, bought his rights, and he will actually join us in the 2022 season when he turns 18. And that's per FIFA rules of minors moving federations before the age of 18. Again, this season we'll continue our partnership with Forward Madison in USL as our USL affiliate. While we weren't able to loan a great number of players due to some of the MLS rules around COVID guidelines, we did have 3 players that were on loan this year or past year. And Chris Brady, our young goalkeeper, was named the USL League One Young Player of the Season. So he went up there as a 16-year-old, won the starting job, and turned out to be, I think, the best goalkeeper in the league at 16. It has been a long off season for all of us in football. It's been a long year. We just played New York City FC this past weekend in a friendly, and I should note I'm down here in Florida with the first team for preseason. And we ended our regular season last year against New York City FC, and it was more than 5 months between those 2 matches. So we are excited for all of this to happen. The good news is MLS is doing a full 34-game schedule. There will be a U.S. Open Cup competition that will take place, governed by U.S. Soccer. And MLS will welcome their 27th team in Austin FC to the league this year. Now we get down to the home opener. The information on the screen is correct. We will be hosting New England on the 17th of April, Saturday night at Soldier Field with a kickoff of 7:30. So we are working closely with the mayor's department on the possibility of hosting fans. And, we hope, and we're hopeful and optimistic that we'll have good news to share in the coming weeks. And I think the one thing you'll see through sports in general is whatever is set for guidelines at the beginning of the season will change as, data, science, and, the return to normalcy changes. So we hope to, that we're on the front foot, and we want to bring so many of our fans back to Soldier Field this year and welcome them home to really what should be and was the home of the Fire many, many years ago. As far as how you can see us, we are now on WGN. So any game that's not broadcast on one of the national TV partners will be available via WGN. So again, we hope to see many, many of you back at Soldier Field this year. And obviously, I'm happy to answer any questions you all have right now.
Great. Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate the information. So I know you're down in Florida. A good result to start off with the preseason. Any kind of quick insight in terms of the players that you've got? I know you've got a few trialists going through there. Anything you can give us in terms of how the team's looking?
I think the most exciting news was the new players we've brought in all showed well in their first, their first match against New York City FC. One of the things is whenever you're bringing in a player from a different country, how long it takes for them to acclimate, it really is a big deal. Some players step in right away, are ready. Some players will take a much longer time, sometimes 6-9 months. So they all showed well. But of the players that are returning, both Johan Kappelhoff, who was essentially injured most of last year, his return to training and his play on Saturday was really something that we're very happy about. And then also Nacho Alicedo, one of our young designated players. He arrived in the country last year, days before the pandemic shut everything down. So he was essentially in a apartment building for months on end. He had just moved here as a young 19-year-old from Argentina. And the difference of him having a full off season under our care, where we had a nutritionalist, a physiotherapist, and a strength and conditioning plan, he looks night and day different from last year. So we're both very bullish on Johan's return, and then, the improvement that we've seen in Ali Seda.
That's great. I know there was. I want to open it up. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put that into the chat as well. But I know with the kind of moving back into the under 23 squad, I know that's exciting, especially for kind of giving younger players a little bit more of a better opportunity to be seen and playing competitive games. How do you see that? I know you mentioned you've got maybe 4 or 5 other MLS teams you're going to be playing against. Is it going to be a double round robin or just one game? How do you foresee that kind of happening?
What's being kind of workshop between the clubs is sometimes if one of those 6 or 7 clubs that are going to be having a U23 team this fall plays each other on a regular season game, maybe the U23 team would travel as well. We may do some weekends where we get 3 or 4 of the different clubs together in one venue and play 2 or 3 games over 3 or 4 days. So, we want to be, an early mover on this. So we think it's important to be part of it. But, due to, we had a labor issue in the off season, getting the schedule finalized, the U23 has taken a little bit of a backseat at the league office on the planning and coordination. So the clubs will probably take the lead early in this.
Great. And then last question from me, and again, I'll see if anybody has any questions. Any players you're looking at? Give us it may be a little bit of an insight into maybe some newcomers, maybe players you think maybe down the train here that you might be able to bring in.
I mean, the short answer is we're looking for young, exciting attacking players. So, our technical director, Sebastian Pelzer, he's working with our scouting team. They're in contact on a daily basis, and they've got a great short list of exciting players. And again, I'll point to we've purchased the rights of a player who won't even join us for a year from now. And that's that shows you what a really well-run, robust scouting department can offer. So we hope to bring in players. And the great thing is we're competing now with top European clubs for some of these talents in South America. And in this case, we won. So.
Absolutely. I know Christian Pulisic is having a rough time at Chelsea right now, so you never know. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, right? Absolutely. So
I'll credit you if that happens. Right?
That would be a big one. Well, I appreciate your time, Eddie. Thanks very much. And if there's any questions, again, feel free to pop them to me, and I can certainly pass them on. But appreciate your time. I know it's a busy schedule that you have in terms of preseason games and everything else. Enjoy the weather. Hopefully everything's going well down there at Champions Gate. I think that's where you guys are at.
Correct. That's right.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, and thanks very much, and good luck, and we'll definitely be watching.
All right. Thank you, Adam. And thanks for giving us some time to chat today.
No problem. Thanks again. All right. Thanks again to Nicole and Eddie. And like I said, hopefully if they can stick around, or if I can answer questions for them or pass them on. But want to pass this over now to our Executive Director, Mary Jane Bender, who's also going to introduce Jim Martella, but she has a couple of important things to say concerning Safe Sport.
Thank you, everyone. As usual, I have to discuss the serious business of soccer, and it's meant to protect the players and the coaches. As you know, the U.S. Congress passed the Safe Sport Act of 2017 and designated the U.S. Center for Safe Sport as the authority to respond to reports of sexual misconduct and develop national policies and procedures to prevent emotional, physical, and sexual abuse of amateur athletes. Through this legislation, the center has the exclusive authority to respond to allegations of sexual abuse and misconduct. It also allows the center to have discretionary jurisdiction on a case-by-case basis over other forms of misconduct, including bullying, harassment, physical and emotional abuse. In compliance with the Safe Sport Act, the Center and U.S. Soccer requires each organization, club, league, to create and maintain its own safety policy and to provide instruction to its members. Very important are the procedures to limit one-on-one interactions between youth and adult participants. Please pay special attention to the section in the Safe Sport Act and in the IYSA Rule 029 Athlete and Participant Safety Policy. When there is a complaint reported, the Federation requires a copy of the club's safety policy and its enforcement procedures. And this is very upsetting, is that we have received several reports from the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, and one is from an incident a decade ago. The notice comes to U.S. Soccer from the center, who passes it on to the relevant organization. The person or persons against whom the allegations are made are temporarily suspended pending the outcome of the investigations by the center. In some cases, the club wants to distance itself from the accused and terminates the person. Keep in mind that the reports can be filed anonymously, and by law, you cannot retaliate against the accuser. This is very serious, and it's not business as usual. You have to be aware of what you say and how you act. Check your Safe Sport certificate to ensure that it is current. Remember that it is only valid for 1 year from the date on your certificate. If your certificate has expired, go to your account in Safe Sport and take the 20-minute refresher. We care about our coaches and urge you to become familiar with the safety policies and learn what you can and cannot do to protect the children and yourself. This is very important, and I appreciate that. Okay, on to the more fun part of my introduction. I'm delighted to introduce Jim Martella, U.S. Youth Soccer Board Member, former chairman of the National and Regional Championship Series, and the person who trained me as executive director when he was the executive director of Ohio South. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you very much, Mary Jane. I've been jumping on Zoom calls with states throughout the region because I last left the state association in 2015. I had been the executive director for about 23 years for Ohio South. And then when I retired, I thought I was really retired, but then I got elected to the board and then elected president for 5 more years. But because of that bit of a distance with our state associations, I find it very important that I get on calls with the states, that I stay very familiar with activities that are changing in this changing environment. So once again, I appreciate that I've been invited on this call. And if anybody has any needs or anything with USU Soccer that I could discuss, I'm always available. But thank you very much, Mary Jane. Thank you very much, Adam.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. I don't know if you could just talk a little bit about what you're doing right now within the Midwest, if that's okay. Just kind of, I know we're having, is it bi-weekly, monthly meetings? I think pretty much in terms of the Midwest, at least, talking about things that are popping up. But so anything that you could share would be great.
Yeah, we started that several months ago. Our next call will be on April 1st. And tonight is the first time another region, the East region, is going to do a monthly call. So I think this is, hopefully it takes off in the South and the West as well, because I think each of us as representatives to the board of directors, we have to be very much in tune with the needs of our state associations. We currently have 14 states that will soon change to 13 because Ohio North and Ohio South is merging at the beginning of the next seasonal year. So it's the state association in Ohio South, where I first started back in 1985. We were the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana State Association. Ohio North had made a request to become a separate state. So across the US, there are 5 states that have dual associations. For Ohio South, it was probably premature to do that because Kentucky left 2 years after that. Indiana left the year after that, and then we were the Ohio South Youth Soccer Association. I think we should have been able to function as a single state much earlier than now, but that's being accomplished, and I think that's a good deal. We also are looking at possible other states. We'd have to have a bylaw change, but sometimes we have some very small states that would be better served by joining as a dual, like bringing together, let's say Vermont, or, in the West, we have Wyoming and others that are very small. And I think that would be a great benefit if we can accomplish some of those associations. Right now, we've been working through some issues with the Girls Academy as they've come on. And now looking forward possibly to coming in with MLS Next. That hasn't been totally finalized yet, but I'm sure we're going to have more discussions on that. I've also been on referee calls because as we have regionals coming up, we have the President's Cup that's going to be in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we have the National Championships that's going to be in St. Louis. And we've been listening to the referee concerns from both the state association, some mentors we have, and participants as to what we have to do to be looking for providing for the safety of those referees. In the past, we always were in a dorm, and now we're into having to put our referees into hotel rooms. Some states feel comfortable with having their referees sharing a room. We also have some states that are not interested in that because of the concerns with COVID, and we have to do single rooms. So we're in the process of acquiring more facilities because when we set these regionals, we didn't have any of that in place for the referees coming in. And the referees are also interested. I was on a call last night. Many of them were hoping that we would have testing of everybody, which would be pretty much impossible when you look at all of the teams, players, coaches, spectators, and several said that they would want to be tested, but they would want all participants. But again, that is not possible. But we're going to be looking toward things that we can help the referees feel more comfortable at our events. And we're planning that each of these are going to go forward this year. We have better expectations than we had regarding the ability for teams to travel safely, and to be able to participate safely. We just had 2 events that we did nationally that came off in Greensboro, and those were handled very successfully with a large number of teams. So we have that same expectation for our President's Cup and regional national championships. So anybody else have any questions they may have?
I'll certainly keep it open, and I know I appreciate your time in terms of coming on today. I know obviously by May we're hopefully going to be in a better place, not to get too political. Hopefully we'll all have vaccines by then at that point, so we'll see how everything goes. So again, is definitely an issue. I think sometimes as coaches, and I still call myself a coach, we just think about our players and our coaches, but we don't always think about the referees as well, and making sure that they're safe. We saw that with the NCAA basketball tournament here just recently. I think there were some issues with referees and some COVID situations. So it's an important part of the process as well. All right. Well, I'll keep it open. Thanks, Jim, for jumping on today. Appreciate it. And then I'm going to hand this over to Chris, who's going to give us a little bit of an update in terms of our competitions and also programs.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to go, for those of you who have been on these with me before, I get weirded out seeing my face talking back to me. So I'm going to go on video. So if it's weird for me, I can't imagine how weird it is for all of you seeing me. So we're going to go on to a blank screen right now. First, going to talk about some upcoming marketing and free things for all of our membership. by noon tomorrow, we should be putting out our next e-publication, which will be our spring membership directory. So all of you that have properly done your registration with the competitive league, or if you're a member grassroots program that's up to date on all of your membership stuff, you'll be included at that at no cost. We'll post that on our website, through our social media, and through our email channels. So hopefully those of you that may be still looking for some additional players may draw a few from that. Our next e-publication that will come out next month will be our tryout guide. All clubs that are registered with one of our member competitive leagues, those being the CIYSL, IWSL, ILWA, SLISA, Illinois, or YSSL, can be included at this at no cost. Adam, can you go back to that last slide, please?
Yep.
So the free listing will be a basic tryout listing. So you just need to email the following information to me by April 8th, your club name and logo. If you've had any changes, you can tell if we have the correct logo when the membership directory comes out. If you see an old logo there that needs to be replaced, make sure you just send me the new one. The tryout dates, the tryout location, and the link to the website. If at this point you're not sure of the specific dates or anything like that, that's okay. We can include just the generic thing about, with the name, the logo, the location, and the website with dates to be determined. So you can just make sure you have that to me by the 8th of April. Also, this is a member benefit, and we do understand that there are some teams that have the girls team registered with us, but not necessarily the boys. We'll only include those listings for the genders that are registered with us. So if you're a club that has a setup like that, we would include the girls listings, but not necessarily the boys. Okay. In addition to the free listings, for those of you who may be looking for some additional extra advertising, you can purchase a full page ad in there. The cost of that would be $200. That would also link to your website and all that. With our transition to e-publications, one of the main reasons we did it is, it's easier to get for the reader to then jump to your direct information. So all this stuff will link. And for those of you that may have camps coming up, you can also purchase a full page ad for a camp. For those of you who are interested in that, you can just email me and we can walk through that process. In addition to the tryout guide, we'll also be doing our second network e-news of 2021. This edition will focus on a spring season preview. We're going to try something different than we've ever done before. And it will include lots of info for the spring season and all of the clubs that are participating in member programming. We will also include a section that we had in the February publication that highlighted member players that had signed letters to play in college. So if you do have players that will be playing at the next level and you want to promote them, either you as a club or the individual player can submit that information to us. You would send that over to Katie. We would need that information by April 15th. And then just make sure that that info includes the player's name, the competitive club they played for, the college they signed with. We do want to know if they were a member of ODP at any point in their youth career, and then if there's a photo of that player. In addition to that, we're looking to also create a section with club news. So as we've gotten back onto the field, if your club has accomplished something, or any players within your club have earned any special recognitions, some good news that we want to share with the general public, please email that info over to me by April 15th. What we use will be determined by us. And again, we are a U.S. Youth Soccer State Association, so the focus of our news and highlights will be of those done at U.S. Youth Soccer sanctioned tournaments. So if you travel out of state to a tournament in say, Ohio, and that's a U.S. Youth Soccer tournament, and your team's won that division, we can certainly promote something like that. We will also, back one more time, Adam, please. In addition, everybody who will be hosting a tournament, those of you that have your sanctioning completed by April 15th, we will include a free listing of all of our sanctioned tournaments in that as well. And again, most of this stuff, it was in our last network e-news. So if you pull that up on our website, you can see examples of all that. This information will come out via email as well as we get closer to these deadlines, so everybody's fully aware and can take advantage of that stuff. Okay, next one then. And again, you can purchase ads in the network e-news if you want to continue to push tryouts, as well as tournament ads, and then those camp ads as well. So now just to highlight a little bit on the COVID protocols, obviously we are on the right path towards a spring season, and teams have already begun activities again, but just remember that there are still IDPH requirements that organizations must abide by. I didn't check today, but I did look yesterday, and there hasn't been any updates since March 8th. So everything we have posted on our website is the most current. If you have not gone through the Illinois all sports policy, you really need to do that, because going forward, we're not going to create separate Illinois youth soccer overall guideline documents. We want you looking at the state information, because ultimately if we create a new document, we're just interpreting the state documents, and we want everybody just following by what the state is telling you to do right now. We did post some initial spring guidelines that includes soccer specific things that are not included in that all sports policy. So those again meet all the current requirements, and we mirror what the IHSA is doing or has planned as of now for their upcoming season. Now we will adjust as things change. As Eddie mentioned, hopefully, the data and the science will help us keep moving forward. So if any of these restrictions are loosened, we will follow suit. If any of them are required to change, we will do the same, but we are not going to enforce anything more than the state is requiring. Just a couple of things that I did want to highlight, as we have been getting some questions about this, so that there's no, everyone's perfectly clear on what you need to do. So masks, this is obviously the big thing. Those two bullet points listed right here are the language pulled directly from the all sports policy. It's put out by the state, where it does require both masks for spectators and non-participants, as well as participants, that while they're engaging not only in practice, but in competition, either indoors or outdoors. This is a little different than how it had been, in the beginning. But again, if this changes, we will adjust accordingly. And just want to reiterate, this is not a unique rule to IYSA. The IHSA just completed their basketball season with players required to wear masks, and the plan for both their boys and girls soccer season currently require a mask as well, as do other sports such as football, where players will be required to wear a mask under their helmet while playing. The mask rule is not unique to Illinois. Of those states that are allowed to resume, there still are states that have not been allowed to resume soccer activity. The following U.S. Youth Soccer state associations also are under mask requirements, including Alaska, Colorado, Delaware, parts of Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, parts of Montana, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Maine, and Vermont. All those states have similar mask requirements as we would currently be playing in. And as Jim mentioned, U.S. Youth Soccer just held their high-level National League playoffs and showcase events in Greensboro, in which all those matches were played with a mask requirement. So again, these are the current IDPH requirements, and should the mask requirement be lifted during the season, IYSA will follow suit. The next part is spectators. Obviously, the crowd control is still a major factor with sports resuming. Again, be sure you review the all sports policy in regards to the amount of spectators allowed and other requirements in order to have them in attendance. Really, you need to have a realistic conversation among the decision makers in your organization, as well as the park district or facilities in which you rent, to make sure that all requirements are met and your club can handle what is required of them. One thing, should you decide not to have spectators or a place you're playing not allow spectators, one thing to consider as we've looked at different options for our own things and how we can make sure parents are getting the opportunity to watch their teams play, would be for all clubs to create social media accounts for individual teams. That way, if you're at a location that doesn't allow spectators or have limited spectators, you could have a team manager or a designated person that will be on site that could stream that match live via Facebook or Instagram so that those parents that can't be in attendance could watch. Again, these are IDPH guidelines, and any issues that arise from attendance should be reported to the IDPH. So these are things that the state is requiring. Again, one other just thing. These are IYSA things in regards to documents that you must have completed. If you haven't already collected them, you should have, but make sure you have them for all players and everything for the spring season. Your organization must have completed and have on file with your member competitive league the organizational communicable disease agreement. And all organizations must have the IYSA communicable disease release of liability and assumption on file for all active participants of your organization, including players, coaches, teams, board members, volunteers, and staff. And if you assign referees, you need to have those on file for every referee as well. Like our medical release waiver that is required for participation, the COVID waiver has been vetted and is required by our insurance company. Okay, Adam. As I mentioned, we did create some soccer specific things that are not covered by the IDPH guidelines. And again, these mirror what the IHSA is doing this year. I'm not going to go through all these. A lot of these are, common sense things and things in regards to social distance and some other stuff. And these can all be found on our website. Right at the very home page, you'll see a big yellow banner that says Spring COVID Guidelines. So. All right, Adam, you can go to the next one. Just a couple of things for events. Our rescheduled fall cups are underway, and we thank those teams that are successfully working together to adjust to allow players to get back on the field and compete. We've started to see some results get posted via social media. So everything so far, knock on wood, has been going well with that. For those of you that have registered for the Spring State Cup or President's Cup, you have received initial information, and all teams will get a video with complete details by the end of the week that will go over your team requirements. And we know there's a lot of you that may be doing this for the first time. So if you have questions, be sure to ask them of me as we go along, because we want to answer anything before we have any problems arise. So, great. Next slide, Adam. Illinois Cup. If you missed out on either the State Cup or President's Cup, we know there were a lot of teams still working through roster issues, but are still looking to participate in a statewide championship experience. We do still have the Illinois Cup registration open. Again, this is offered in 2 divisions: the Gold Division, which is open to teams that play of any level of a member competitive league, or our tournament only teams. And then the Silver Division is limited only to teams that play in the 3rd or C Division or lower of their league play. The play dates are listed here, and they'll match those same ones we use for the President's Cup. So again, if you're looking to get into this, you still can for the time being, We'll close up registration this week and then do some solicitation to fill in any slots we still may need to round out groups. Yeah, Adam, one more. And then one final reminder, the Junior Cup is back this spring. We discussed this in the last webinar. We'll be doing this event based on demand from teams that missed out on the fall. And this will be a 9v9 event for the 11U and 12U age groups. And the deadline for this is April 1st. Right now, we intend to offer it in 2 levels. The Junior State Cup, which is open to everyone, and the Junior Illinois Cup, which again will follow the restriction to only 3rd or C-level division teams. If we see a large registration total, and we can add a middle level for the Junior President's Cup like we normally have, we'll look at that option, but that's something we won't consider until we see the total number of teams. Again, we are running it a little bit different this year due to COVID. Teams will be grouped geographically for group play. So just an example, we won't determine this till we see the final teams, but we would be looking at a southern region, a central division, potentially splitting Chicago into both a north and south. So the teams from the southern region would all play each other. The winner of that region would be deemed the Junior, State Cup Southern Regional Champion. And then that team would advance to semifinals and finals in June 5th and 6th with the other regional champions. So, again, all the complete details for that are at our website as well as registration. If there aren't any questions, one other thing I did want to mention, those of you who probably saw US Youth Soccer did make an announcement, I believe this past week, about the reformatting of the National League. For those of you that played in it previously, where it was league based as opposed to the current format with showcases and all that, they're looking to go back to a division and league based play with some adjustments. So more info will be coming for that in the near future once the applications for that open up. So if there aren't any questions, if you have any, the best way to reach me is email, because we are still working remotely mostly. Yeah, Adam, I don't know if there's any questions posted right now.
Don't see any yet, but feel free to pop those questions into the chat or the Q&A, and then hopefully we can answer those. So appreciate it. Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
And just a real quick update in terms of coaching education and ODP. Obviously, this is a busy time in terms of things that we've got going on. One thing I do stress to all of the administrators, DOCs, is try and create that profile in the Learning Center. Just makes things a little bit easier. I get numerous emails about how I can register for courses. Go through that Learning Center, create a profile, and then even if you already have a license, you can put that license in there. Also, an added benefit, like I've mentioned before, is you'll have access to the planning tools option where you can create your session. So if you haven't done so already, it's a great database for all of us in terms of helping you within your coaching education journey. So feel free to ask me questions about that if you have any. Always DOC at Illinois Youth Soccer, I'm available. In terms of kind of where things are going, just a quick update. We've done 20 courses. We just finished 3 D licenses. We do have a spring D license opening up. We do have grassroots courses opening up as well, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then we have 2 C licenses as well getting started. So we've pretty much got every area covered within all of coaching education. So if you have questions, concerns, or you're not sure what blended learning is, this is the new format that we're working through with US Soccer. Basically, it's defined on our website. So we put this together for you to help you understand exactly what it is. But really, it's Zoom and in person. It's a combination of both. It's making sure that you're prepared in terms of coming into the Zoom meetings, and then we'll typically finish with some type of in-person. It could be 2 hours, it could be 1 day, it could be up to 4 days with the C license. So in terms of blended learning courses, this kind of goes back to the fall in terms of what we're doing. We're really enjoying it. It's actually quite fun. We've been putting people into breakout rooms and getting into groups, and obviously social distancing when we're on the field. The nice thing is we're not having to work with players at this time. Sometimes we have been using that for some of the higher level licenses, but the coaches have been able to jump in and play. We do have a good bunch of youthful coaches able to play, which has been great. And that's certainly made things a little bit easier as well. But in terms of courses coming up, we've been inundated, I'll be honest with you, in terms of the courses. You can see this weekend, this next weekend, we're very full. We've got our 9v9 full, 11v11 full. So what we decided to do is open up a second section of this, same time, same place, same bat channel, all that stuff. So you'll be able to get everything done this weekend, this next weekend, that is. Partly because I know with Easter being a little bit earlier, we wanted to try to make sure we give everybody an opportunity to get registered and also get their qualifications, their licensing to prepare themselves for the spring season. So if you have any questions on this, upcoming courses, let me know. I'll be happy to help you. But we do have spots open on the 9v9 and the 11v11, and they're back to back, so coaches can get that done pretty quickly. The D license, like I mentioned, we finished 3 over the winter. We're just finishing up grading, getting all that done. We do have one now that's opened up again. So we have a brand new D license open that starts April 26th. So if you're interested in jumping on that D, already got half a dozen people already signed up. That's going to be starting. That goes through until July. Again, blended learning, a lot of Zoom meetings, and then we finish with a one-day in-person meeting at the end. And then finally, our C license. We've gotten a lot of interest in this. We just finished our past C license here. Just want to make sure that you're clear on the C license, that it is, again, a blended learning format, goes through US Soccer. We've been given the privilege by US Soccer to be able to host 2 of these this year. So hopefully that works for those coaches who need to jump in and get these C license courses. The first option starts in April. We're going to be closing that pretty soon here. So if you do have a coach that's interested, please get them to jump on as quick as possible. And then the second option, obviously, it starts in August. So 4-day in-person meetings. Everything else is on Zoom. Both of the in-person meetings will be at Mercy Health Sports Court 2. Hopefully by that time in the summer we'll be outside. Possibly November looks like we'll probably be in the indoor facility. We'll have to see. YouTube channel, I always kind of promote this. A recording of this will be put on that as well. But if you want to find information on anything that we've been doing, certainly from a coaching education standpoint, please subscribe to that. And you can jump on and find information, Chris's meetings, our meetings, Coaches Connections, any type of recreation planning, any type of webinars that we put together are typically on there. Quick reminder in terms of Top Soccer, this has been going on. It's been very well received. I know we've had some really good speakers so far. I think last week, I know Mary Jane was on the meeting last week, which she was very excited about, dealing with how coaches can deal with autism and different areas in different special education children. There is a St. Patrick's Day social today. That starts a little bit later tonight, so feel free to jump on that. And this is every single Wednesday through the month of March. So if you get a chance to jump on that, especially if you're running a Top Soccer program, I'm sure you'll see Sean Danhauser in there. So just feel free to jump on that as quickly as you can. Again, every Wednesday, typically afternoon or evening, depending on the times that are being set. Presentation kind of coming up. So we've been working with our friends over at Chelsea. We've been able to work with them, and I wanted to give you kind of a save the date time. So they're going to work with us in doing a presentation. This is going to be April 9th, so it's going to be right before our season begins. And I think it could be, pretty good one. Pressing from the front, setting traps. So they're going to talk a little bit about how you work from a defensive standpoint, trying to create better options to win the ball quickly and hopefully score more goals. So we're going to be working with Chris, who's the International Development Director, and then Andy Otley, who is the U13 Academy Coach at Chelsea, as well as an International Development Officer as well. So we'll be working with them to present that to you on April the 9th. So look out for a registration here pretty soon. And then in terms of ODP, we've got a few things that are popping up. Like I mentioned already before, we've got our sub-regional showcase that's going to be coming up. So just wanted to give you these dates so that people are familiar with what's happening within your clubs. Obviously, that's going to be a direct conflict with both of the sub-regional showcase and the regional camp is conflicts with President's Cup. So we understand that we're going to be players that are going to potentially miss, and we always encourage the players to go with their clubs. But we want to make sure that you're aware of these dates that are going to be taking place. We've got our regional camp in July, and then obviously the sub-regional showcase in June. And so we've finished our ODP process. What's ended up happening is we've then going through the process now. Hopefully in the next month and a half or so, we'll be picking the teams. Those teams will then go to Indianapolis, and then another cross-section of those players will be invited to a regional camp. So we'll be getting through all of that pretty quickly. And I know our president just sent a note into the chat as well. Referee registration. This might be a good shoe-in for Don as well, because I'll introduce him in a second. I know Don's a referee. We definitely need more referees. So we urge you to make sure, if you have people and kids who are interested, to definitely go through the process of referee registration. We are short on terms of time, so we want to make sure that we get those referees selected. So then they can cover the games that are going to be needed. So please make sure, if they need to go through the process, make sure that you touch base with Julio, with the Illinois Soccer Referees Committee. I know they've got a brand new website, so it's a little bit easier to navigate. Just touch base with them, and I'm sure they'll give you the information. All right, so there's my little spiel. I'm going to pass it over to Don real quickly. I know he's got a few things to share in terms of pre-season gear and equipment. Over to you, Don.
All righty. Thanks for having me. Good to see everybody. Very excited and anxious about play beginning. As a matter of fact, high school has already started, so I suffered through a cold night last night. So on the pitch. So a couple things from score standpoint. Let's talk near term and far term. Near term is we're getting ready to start playing. I want to let you know that hardly anybody or score tell you nobody beats our speed to market with products and services. We're based in Southern California. I'm right here in the Chicago area. We can get you stuff before your season, lickety split. So we can cover any of your uniform or equipment needs. Masks, we do some masks and some other protective stuff, and we can put your logos on those. So anything you need, just get a hold of me. My information's on the screen. Love to work with you. As I told somebody yesterday, I'm very user friendly. I understand what you're doing, where you're coming from, so want to help. Long term from SCORE, we're working on setting up club e-stores. We've got a bunch of those going on. Takes a little bit of time to get the process done, but happy to work with you. So for your spirit wear, and actually even for uniform needs, for your travel side of it, we can do that. And also for the travel side of it, if you're tired of your uniform styles being outdated in 2 or 3 years, we've got a great big custom program going, working on a number of different clubs all over the region on that. So we can design a uniform that is yours and yours alone, doesn't go out of style. You can use it as long as you want. And if you've got a style that you've seen somewhere else in the world that you want to emulate, we can come close within copyright regulations and do whatever you want. So, and also You know, I'm only as good as the swag I give away. So I'm going to let Adam pick a couple of member clubs out there to get some stuff out of the warehouse or from Score. Pretty much anything in the catalog. No goals, no paint, stuff like that. But if you want some outerwear or some backpacks or soccer balls, Adam will pick 2 or 3 clubs, and we'll get your name and address and send you some stuff.
Okay, Don, this is Mary Jane. I just want to say something about the masks. Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. And we ordered those when masks were not available over a year ago from you. And I will tell you, they are very comfortable. They're 3 layers and they fit the face very snugly. And so even though I bought all these fun kind of masks, I don't wear them because they just aren't as comfortable as the Score masks. So thank you for that.
All right, we're trying. We're like I said, our speed to market is really good, and we're U.S. based manufacturer, and we had to do a little bit of a pivot there when everything blew up. So we did pretty well with some people with some mask sales.
Great, thanks, Don. What I'll do is I'll look at who was here. I'll pick 3, send names to you, and then you can send them some swag. That'll be great. If it's my name 3 times, I apologize. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll send you their names, and then that way you can send the stuff to them. How's that sound?
Sounds great. And I've already got you penciled in for a green shirt.
Great, appreciate it. I'm a bit short on the old green shirt, so thanks very much. All right, great. Well, like I mentioned, we're looking forward to the spring. One thing, kind of a little personal announcement from my standpoint: play, practice, play. That's the biggest thing. Get the kids to play. They've been cooped up, sitting in front of computers. They've been, really unable to play for a long time. Get them to play as much as possible. So I know we spend a lot of time as coaches getting things organized and getting things set up, and sometimes we forget about what the kids want. And so let's try and make sure that we give those kids the opportunity to play as much as they can in practice, because I know both my sons, when they come back from practice, and they really enjoy it when they played a lot. So make sure you keep doing that. I know you guys are doing a great job. Hopefully we'll get to see you very soon. I don't know if we'll be able to do an in-person meeting in June, the fall. Fingers crossed. We might be getting closer, but our next Coach Connection meeting will be in June over the summer. Again, contact me if you're not getting the emails from all of us at Illinois Youth Soccer. I know you can subscribe to that. Just make sure that you get on our email list, and we'll make sure you have everything. But want to thank everybody today, all of our panelists, all of you guys in attendance. We appreciate it. Doesn't look like we have too many questions, so I'm going to end us a little bit over 1 hour. But again, thanks again. Good luck the rest of the way. Good luck this season to the Fire, to the Red Stars. Thanks again, Jim, for joining us. Mary Jane, Chris, we'll see you guys very, very soon, and good luck on the pitch. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.